So, you guys hit the like goal, so here's the commentary for the bug video. This one is a grenade launcher shield build with the Cookout shotgun, strafing run, and the napalm barrage. So I'm using the grenade launcher as my main, like my primary. I'm using it as my primary, my main killing machine. And I debated originally using the supply pack instead of the shield pack, but I decided to go with the shield pack because it's just, I find it way more valuable. Like, even if you have the supply pack, it's just so much easier not going through that many stims and having to rely on stims all the time, and it's just so nice to have the shield as a backup. Believe me, play with it, adapt your play style if you have to, like I had to. It works just splendidly. Now the Cookout shotgun, I am using it as a secondary, however I'm not really using it as a kill weapon, except for the smaller units like the scavengers and the hunters. What I'm using it for is to create space, because it staggers very effectively. It staggers a couple commanders, stalkers, all sorts of stuff, warriors too. So good. Now right here you'll notice that I kind of just shot my ultimatum up there. That's because the Bile Titan bug hole is right there. You just heard it get destroyed. You heard the audio cue. Now I know it's right there because of the shape of the land there and the sound that it was making. Now you kind of saw me circle back because while I was doing this, I wasn't sure if I had destroyed it. But when you're doing a mega nest or a heavy nest, if it has a Bile Titan bug hole, always go for that first. Sneak up to the nest first, look for the Bile Titan bug hole first, and destroy it first before you even are spotted. Maintain your stealth until it is destroyed, because that particular bug hole will spawn Bile Titans, and it will make it so much harder, even if you have a reliable heavy tank eliminator like the Coreless rifle or a Quasar cannon. It just makes it so much easier because you still have all the chargers and impalers to deal with. Now, with this particular build, I'm saving my ultimatum for the Bile Titan bug hole, which I already took out, and for Bile Titans, but mostly I'm saving it for chargers, because to me they are the biggest nuisance, they are the biggest problem, and I put them on the top of the priority list for takeout. They need to go because they are a nuisance. They stagger you, even if they don't kill you outright right away. They knock you on your butt, and something else can kill you very easily. Now, for the impalers, wait till they stick their tentacles in the ground, and then throw your strafing run at them. When their weak spot is revealed after, you'll notice here, there's out of all the maps for the Mega Nest, the one hole like you just seen there, is blocked like that. You have to use Ultimatum, something with demolition rating of 40 or higher to destroy it, because they don't have access to the hole. It's not fair and it's a bug, but what do you do? Anyways, back to the impalers. I use my strafing gun for the impalers. It works splendidly. One-shots them if they have their tentacles in the ground and you hit their weak spot. You can also bait the weak spot out if they're far away by shooting them with the Cookout shotgun. Like, kind of make your presence known so they stick their tentacles in the ground and then throw the strafing gun. Throughout the video, you'll see me do it a couple times. Now, for the nest, always be checking your map like I had explained in my previous commentary video, but particularly for the bug nest, there is so much going on. You won't really see me check my map that much because I don't have time to. So instead of checking your map a lot, you have to replace that with a high vigilance and spatial awareness. You'll notice throughout the whole time I'm going through the Mega Nest, go back if you have to, I am looking around a lot, getting a layout for my surroundings, knowing what's chasing me or what's nearby, because I don't have time to look See, I get knocked over, the first thing I do is a very quick 360, so I see that there's some hive guards there sneaking up on me. Now, fortunately, because of the major order at the time, I do have the orbital rail cannon strike during this, so I did use it for the Battle Titans, but the Ultimatum, I used this build after that MO was over, and the Ultimatum works splendidly for the Battle Titans too. You just have to be accurate. It does take practice, I will admit. You have to hit a headshot. Now, the reason why I use the Ultimatum instead of the 500 kilogram is because unless both the Ultimatum, like in comparison, like only using one in the same particular situation, let's say, the 500 kilogram bomb only does 500 more damage provided that both the Ultimatum and 500 kilogram projectile hit the target. It's crazy. The projectile of the Ultimatum does 1,000 damage. The projectile, the actual bomb itself, not the explosion, the actual bomb itself for the 500 kilogram only does, what was it now? 2,000 damage if it hits the Battle Titan. The actual explosion of the Ultimatum actually does more damage than the explosion of the 500 kilogram. The explosion of the Ultimatum does 2,000 damage. The explosion of the 500 kilogram does 1,500 damage. Now, the 500 kilogram does have a much larger AoE, area of effect. I believe it's 35 meters. I think so. But the damage is only 20 meters. The extra 15 is just the shockwave that provides stagger. So I really don't like the 500 kilogram for anything. It's really only a heavy takeout weapon. So if you use the 500 kilogram and it one-shots the Battle Titan, the only reason why it's doing that is because it is within the inner radius of the explosion, which is 10 meters. The Battle Titan's head is within the inner radius. That's the only way it can one-shot it when I was looking at the stats. So it's crazy. 500 kilograms is actually very bad. Anyways, so like I said, be vigilant with the Mega Nest. Always be looking around. Try and stay outside of it as much as you can. Of course, the Mega Nest, most of the nests are facing inside in such a large area. Can't really take it up from the inside, so you do have to go in. But like I said, that is replaced. Those precautionary measures of staying on the outside and always checking your map are replaced with extreme spatial awareness and vigilance. The same goes with the hatchery I'm dealing with right now. Stay outside of it as much as you can. You don't want to go into it if you can help it, because you reduce your egress points where you can go if it gets surrounded, right? So like obviously you gotta go in sometimes if the eggs can't go in, but you'll notice that I try to get some of the eggs, depending on which hatchery, with the strafing runs or the napalm barrage. Now, I explain the primary purpose of most of my things I have equipped for this, but I do not explain the primary purpose of the napalm barrage. Now, it does work for many things, but provided it has a long cooldown. Because of that, I made its primary purpose is dealing with bug breaches. So, every time there's a bug breach, you'll see me throw it. Very rarely I use it on anything else. Now, as you can see, Cookout shotgun, like I said before, that is your distance creating tool. It creates distance, where you can use it to kill little things that are too close to use the grenade launcher. But even if they're like a little bit close, just like that, with the Alpha Commander there, use the grenade launcher. It's your main killing tool. Its DPS is super high, doing like 430 damage each shot with quite a large area of effect. It's pretty good. So notice I got one egg left, so I kind of clear the area. I'm going to go in and I'm going to look for it, but I'm going to keep my surroundings there. I thought that was the egg, just a bright light, kind of the same color the egg mixed. But the egg was over there. You see, I check in my map, so I know those enemies are there before I actually physically see them, so I just start shooting my grenade launcher. That Mega Nest is the only exception where you should not be checking your map all of the time, anytime you get. Because situations like this, with all the spores created, probably from a spore charger nearby or something, that map helps you realize the location of enemies that you didn't even know were there. By the time you see them, it's too late to use the grenade launcher, and shotgun is not nearly as effective for killing, especially when it comes to larger groups of enemies. So your map is an extremely useful tool. Only exception is the mega nest. Now, cities kind of follow under the same concept a little bit, but the entire city isn't one big nest like the mega nest is. So it's kind of like a hybrid tactic of checking your map as much as you can, but also looking around a lot when you're inside the city. And you'll see me do this when I go in there. Like as soon as you go into that city, there's walls and buildings everywhere that severely limit your egress points. So when in the city, you immediately have to develop that hybrid tactic between being out in the open and being in a mega nest, of checking your map and looking around a lot, seeing what's around you. Another use for the strafing run is taking out bigger groups of heavier enemies like alpha commanders and stuff like the grenade launcher can't one-shot right away. But stun grenades are awesome. I love the stun grenades for this build. They're so good for stopping charges when I have to reload my ultimatum. Like I said before, the main purpose of the ultimatum is for the charges. It does have other secondary purposes like I mentioned before. Stun grenades so good for stopping them if you have to reload or if they are too close for you to shoot with your ultimatum. Oh yeah, by the way, strafing gun will one-shot that. The spore spewer and streaker nest. I'm just using the grenade launcher because my strafing gun is on cooldown. Usually I will use my strafing gun always for that. Very fast. Anyways, back to the stun grenades on the chargers. So like I said, if they're too close and you will blow yourself up if you use your ultimatum, stun grenade is awesome. Even if you stun grenade yourself, you can't run fast, you can still spam dive to have a faster movement rate. Also for enemy units, if there's two different groups and you want to prioritize one, for example, and they're both closing in on you, and the second group will be close to you, too close to use your grenade launcher, then throw a stun grenade. Stun grenades are so useful, and I did like them better than the gas grenades for this build because the gas grenades aren't an immediate 100% stun. They're just a confusing thing, and sometimes the gas grenade goes too far and rolls and blows up, and by the time it's over there, the gas hasn't had enough time to affect the enemy, and they could still manage to close that distance. Now you'll see in this heavy nest here, I noticed the really strong bright light there in comparison with the other ones. I already know that's a Bile Titan nest. They always go for it first. You do not want to have that big hole alive, because it'll spam spawn Bile Titans. And even if it's not the end of you, it will make it much more difficult than it has to be. Now when you're dealing with a nest, don't just stick around at the nest and think, I have to get this nest done, I'm here, I have to save myself time, I have to do it now, deal with these bugs and go. Don't do that, you'll die so many times. Don't be afraid to temporarily retreat to recuperate yourself and get ammo like I am here. And as I retreated, you'll notice that I've seen the Shrieker nest here, so I take the opportunity to take that out while I'm kind of recuperating. And you'll see me use my strafing gun here, I believe. Like I mentioned in my previous commentary video, the throwing distance is 45 meters. That's why I mark it like that. Very useful tool to see the distance. You can increase the throwing distance to 53 meters if you throw it mid-dive. Of course, that's it. The strafing gun starts its run where it lands. So it'll start at 45 meters if you're looking up at a sharp angle. But so, like, obviously you can throw it a little bit farther away than that, like I did. But strafing gun is very useful for the Shrieker nest. The bugs requires a lot of moving, You'll notice that my travel distance was extremely high, a lot more than some of the other videos, especially my bot builds, where the primary tactic and strategy is remaining in cover. Almost 100% of the enemies in bugs are melee units. Almost 100% of them are very fast. They will always try and flank you. They will not sit behind cover trying to shoot you or wait for you. They'll always flank you. They'll always be rushing you. You are removing a lot. So stamina conservation is a very strong concept with this. And now you'll notice sometimes throughout this video, maybe not particularly as much as a video where I use the supply pack, but I will use the stims to regain my stamina even if I have no health lost, just to have more stamina. Now, it's kind of like a know-how to know when to do that or not, because you want to conserve your stamina and your stims so you still have your stims for health when you do get hit. Another primary purpose of the shield, so useful. This build, so useful with bugs. Now, this build does get harder to use the more people you have, because it relies on the quick, the quick cooldown of the supply pack and being able to go back to it. So if somebody else calls it on the other side of the map and then you only have 2 minutes, well now you're waiting 4 minutes because you already waited 2 minutes. Now you have waited 4 minutes with no supplies, and the grenade launcher is an extremely ammo hungry weapon. So when you're by yourself, this build is absolutely amazing. And being able to, strategizing the use of the supply pack and the timing of it, it was very vital with this build, I found. So it does get harder with more people. However, once there's more people, you may be able to more justify bringing the supply pack instead of the shield generator pack, because the bugs will have more targets to go for than just you. You won't be rushed as much anymore. Like I said, you don't really want to go into the bug nest. The heavy nests inside the city, you'll very rarely see me go inside of them. Always on the outside, being aware of my surroundings, recuperating myself very frequently. And that's very important. Being aware of your surroundings, but also checking your map inside the city. Like I said, chargers, very high priority, take them out first, always. You'll notice that when I run out of ultimatum shots, that's one of the times I'll take my recuperation, because I need ultimatum shots, especially in the city, because a charger will run you down and corner you quite easily. I have to be able to take them out. Another thing is the stun grenades, because it is in the city. When those chargers get too close, I can't use my ultimatum without killing myself, or at the very least destroying my shield. So having stun grenades and ultimatum shots, particularly in the city, is very important. So you'll notice I always throw my supply pack outside of the city if and when I can, because I want to be able to go outside the city, just outside of it, to recuperate myself. I don't want to have to recuperate myself inside the city, because I have an extreme lack of egress points. So in times of need where I'm low on ammo, stims, ultimatum shots, or stun grenades, I want to be able to have lots of egress points, not as many enemy units around me. So I will throw the supply pack outside of the city, take my recuperation points there. So that's one thing, is I always listen, and I heard that Alpha Commander summon those guys behind me, and I immediately turn around. So I know I keep repeating myself, but I can't stress enough the vitality of spatial awareness. It does become a bit harder to dodge the charges with the shield bubble, because then your hitbox effectively becomes larger. You're now like a big beach ball, and it's aiming for a big ball now, not a tiny Helldiver, right? So it does get a bit harder to kill them. That's why, again, spatial awareness, it is the biggest hindrance of the shield pack, is the slightly larger hitbox. One thing to be aware of, though, with the shield pack is that it does not really protect against melee attacks. Now that seems contradictory, considering I brought it into a bug match, It does if they attack from outside of the shield, but smaller units like scavengers and hunters, if they're actually inside or partially inside of that shield bubble, they will actually damage your health and not the shield bubble. So that's one thing to look out for, is hunters are also on the top of the kill list with the chargers because they are fast, they are very good at closing the distance, and they can get inside the shield bubble and directly damage your health. They don't necessarily have to get through the shield bubble first.
Eagles back from the nest.
So there, I threw that there. I wouldn't particularly do that on LiDAR station just because the LiDAR station is, despite it takes time to rise, it is one of the quicker sub-objectives. I threw it there because it is a bit slow, but I also have the hatchery over there. So after I'm done the LiDAR station, I can come back to it if I need to recuperate myself in between the start and finish of that hatchery over there. You can see on the map. Another thing the map is good for if you're not in the city is identifying the location of sub-objectives like the LiDAR station, because as you can see on the map, and check this out when you're in a game of your own, you can actually see the LiDAR station, not the symbol, but you can see the structure on the map when you're not in the city. So you can use that to your advantage. Siege cannon included, and there's a few others. Always look on the map for buildings that kind of look like your sub-objective, and this might take time to learn how to do it, but outside the city, the LiDAR station will always appear as buildings, so that's how I found this one. But it is kind of on the route as well, so I probably would have found it if I didn't use my map, but still an extremely useful tool as well to utilize the map for that purpose as well. So you'll notice that thing I've been saying about staying outside of the bug nest is particularly enforced with this bug nest here. So I'm always running around, circling it, knowing where I'm going. So like in times when you have a bug breach and you don't have your napalm, just be very wary. There's going to be a lot of bugs coming in sort of a single file type style. So just kind of always be moving in a circle, plan your route, and of course as I get halfway they're going to start coming from the other direction too. Now the only reason why I didn't retreat is because I knew that by the time I get halfway around I'm going to have my napalm anyway. So I'm going to get rid of that impaler first thing so that I have more time to throw the napalm down for the bug breach. Yeah, that charger almost got me. I'm lucky that rock was there. Because even I couldn't run right because that big rock was there, but if I ran left, he likely would have caught my shield bubble and set me flying. Although there wasn't as many bugs on the left side, so even if that rock wasn't there, I still would have chose the left option. So I wasn't cornered, not really any bugs over there. So another thing with the chargers is if you know you're gonna get hit, kind of pick the best option to get flung to. Like if you know there's a lot of bugs to the right, don't run to the right of the charger, because if you get hit and flung in that direction, those bugs are gonna chew you out right through your shield. So pick the left side where there's no bugs, or vice versa if the right side there's no bugs. Kind of like a picking and choose sort of thing there. One other thing I absolutely despise with the grenade launcher is you have to get almost exactly in the center of the bug holes to destroy. And you'll notice that I use the red dot scope equipped with the grenade launcher when I'm aiming at the bug holes, because I feel like it is much more accurate than just that little circle you see bouncing around there. I find it quite hard, especially from a distance, to successfully get the bug hole in one shot. So you'll see that with the bug holes, I will almost always go into the red dot there to hit the bug holes. Definitely one of the biggest downfalls of the grenade launcher when you compare it to its other counterparts like crossbow or the eruptor. It's much more accurate counterparts. The reason why I chose the grenade launcher instead of those as the primary is because of its much higher fire rate and reload speed. Like, it is my only killing machine for this build, and it is so effective at being a killing machine that it can be my only killing machine, and still I can be as effective as this. The crossbow and eruptor cannot do that. I guess I do have the strafing run kind of for, it is another main killing machine. I do use it a lot for larger groups of enemies. Grenade launcher works absolutely splendidly for destroying the Terminids. Absolutely splendidly. You just saw that I destroyed 20 or 30 of them just right there. Another thing with the bug nests I neglected to mention, particularly with the mega nest, is enemies only spawn within 150 meters of you. So with this armor that I chose, actually, another thing I forgot to mention, you have radar pings around your marker that you place on the map with this particular armor. Now, being that enemies only spawn within 150 meters, you can actually mark bug nests from farther away than that, and the bug nests actually pop up as red dots. So you probably can't memorize where they are unless you have photographic memory, which I know I don't. But even if you can't memorize it, it does give you a very good loadout, a very good lookout of where the bug nests are, and maybe some of them are more concentrated in particular areas of the bug nest. Maybe more of them are on the southeast side, for example, than there is on the northwest side. Now you know. Another useful trick. You may have seen me do that, actually. But yeah, it's another reason why I chose this armor is because it also has a 30% less detection rate. Now you may think that's useless here because I'm fighting almost all of the time throughout this whole game, but spawn radius within 150 meters, the bugs that are immediately closer to me are the only ones going after me, not the bugs farther away, because I have that 30% detection rate is lower down. I also have a higher pin radius, and checking the map, especially with bugs, seeing as how there are so many of them and they're so good at closing the distance, I want to know when and where I am getting flanked. Believe me, we're almost always gonna have a patrol or group of bugs coming from a different direction, and I want to be able to see sooner than later. This is the primary purpose of why I wore this armor. Now, I didn't wear the stim armor obviously because the shield generator does compensate very heavily for that in protecting me and helping me preserve my stims, conserve them. Very useful. This build is very thought out. Bugs is definitely not something easy to solo. There are way more bugs and way more enemies on bugs than there are on any other faction. And you almost always have way more kills on bugs than any other faction because of that. So the bugs definitely require a much more thorough strategy, much more thorough tactics, and a much more thorough playstyle than any of the other factions. People who say bugs are easier than bots and whatever else, I play with them on bots and Illuminate and see why it's harder is because they lack experience. They don't play with them and they don't learn the tactics and strategies, which are actually easier to learn on bots and Illuminate than it is on bugs. You'll see I'm kind of making my way over to that heavy nest inside the second city area here. So first thing I want to do with these nests is take out the impalers and the chargers. Always. Because the impalers can attack you from inside the nest, make it much harder to navigate, and now you've got one more thing to look out for in a situation where you are already multitasking for so many things. Now you'll notice I didn't take out the Battle Titan bug hole. I'll take the risk of actually going inside the nest to go take it out because of the vitality of taking it out first is so extreme. Like, it's already spawning a Battle Titan bug hole. The spawn rate is like every 15-20 seconds, it feels like. And that's a lot of Battle Titans after a while. So after I take it out, I very quickly make my exit. I do not want to be in the middle of that heavy nest at all. I definitely want to be able to take it out from the outside. Even if I have to use my ultimatum shots to take out some holes, I will do that. So you very rarely will need to or have to go inside of the heavy nest. It is very dangerous, particularly because of the lack of egress points even in a city, and chargers are very dangerous. Lots of them inside of the heavy nest usually, or mega nests. Definitely don't want to go inside. Like I said at the beginning, mega nest is one of the only exceptions to going inside of the nest. Just kind of looking for the resupply there. Yeah, one thing that I do, I play on PlayStation. I don't know about the PC players, but in my settings, I do go to customize the audio and make quiet sound louder. And because audio is especially important, it's important in all factions, but especially for the bugs. You'll notice that if you have this on, or you have your sound on loud or good quality, if you can hear it regardless, you'll notice every time I hear something behind me, I'm always checking my map and knowing. So increasing the volume of the quiet sounds through the PS5 settings, or PC settings if you can. I don't know, I've never played on PC. Very important, very useful, it will help you a lot. You can see I'm out of ultimatum shots, so I utilize my stun grenades there and throw my strafing run. The strafing run will not kill the charger outright, but it will significantly weaken it, and sometimes it does take out the armor on its back. Another thing the strafing run is good for is with Battle Titans. Again, it will not kill it outright. You do need quite a few of them to kill it, but when using your ultimatum shot, if you miss the head and hit the back instead, the flesh beneath then becomes very vulnerable to the strafing run. And if you miss, hit the back armor instead and break it off, strafing run I find almost always one-shots Battle Titan afterwards. So like very good use for the strafing run. Checking my map just because I want to know how many enemies are chasing me. I have a feeling it's a lot, despite I can only see a small part of it. Now I know that it's a lot, so I'm not really going to stand my ground. I'm going to continue retreating, especially back to the resupplies to get my ultimatum. Now the only reason why I'm turning back and going around is because I do have that big rock to kind of split me and the group apart, so I can get back into the city from a different point. As you saw, I heard the bug calling in the bug breach, and I quickly checked if I had my napalm barrage, and I did not. So instead of throwing it and going back in from where I came from, I run around the city to find a different entry point. I do not want to stick around there while there's a bug breach over there. The bug breach will spawn an insane amount of enemies, and you do not want to stick around. Even with the grenade launcher and strafing run, bug breaches, especially on Helldive, spawn an obscene amount of enemies. It is crazy. So definitely when you play bugs, you definitely want something to annihilate all the bugs out of the bug breach, and the napalm barrage is very good for filling in that role. Definitely its biggest downfall is the cooldown, extended cooldown. It's another reason when I'm picking my matches in bugs, particularly to solo, I will choose the ones that do not have the modifier for the 25% longer cooldown, and instead pick the one for the 50% longer fall-in time. Because when I use stratagems like the napalm barrage, I need that cooldown to be as quick as possible, because bug breach cooldowns obviously are not that long. On the note of bug breaches, when you are near an objective and there are bugs nearby guarding it, you want to take the bugs out as quickly as possible, because you do not want a bug breach to call in. The napalm barrage's primary role, particularly in this build, or any build I think, is take out bug breaches, but because of its cooldown, you really want it to be an emergency measure. You do not want to resort to it. You want it to be a last resort. So if you can, when you are on an objective, take out the bugs as quickly as possible as to not risk having a bug breach called in. Now obviously in a bug nest that is not going to be plausible because there are going to be lots of bugs and they're constantly going to be spawning from the bug nest. So that noted, you probably want to have your napalm barrage available and not on cooldown when you are going after bug nest. Not to use it on the bug nest itself, but to take out the bug breaches. And the reason why I use the napalm barrage is because it is much better at taking out bug breaches than it is nests, and that is what I wanted. You know, the grenade launcher can take out the bug nest just fine. Now, I don't like using the 380 or the 120 to take out bug breaches because it's not that good. I find the area of effect isn't that great, and the napalm barrage lights the ground on fire anyway. But I also find that the napalm barrage is not nearly as good as taking out the bug holes for whatever reason as the 120 barrage or the 380. So if you bring the 380 barrage or the 120 barrage, yes, it is good at taking out a bug breach, but the napalm barrage is much better. The 380 and 120 is much better than the napalm at taking out the bug nest, so it can be used for that purpose. The 380 particularly for taking out larger chunks of the mega nest. As you can see, I aim for the head. Ultimatum, take out that Ball Titan. Very useful tool. Only primary purpose, definitely the Ultimatum, was the Chargers and the Ball Titans for sure. So as you can see, Hunters are very good at closing the distance. I do not want to use my grenade launcher that close. I don't want to risk it bouncing back at me, taking out my shield, or worse, knocking me on my butt and allowing the bugs to get an easy kill on me. So I'll use my shotgun as the main distance creator.
Objective near your position.
Checking my stratagems for strafing around. I like using it to take out the hatcheries. Because, like I said before, I do not want to go inside it if I can help it. Now, I do see that this one is only 19 eggs, so I already know that it's small. So that's why I am not as reluctant to go inside. Just because I know it's a bit smaller and I won't be as trapped if things go south. Even though the amount of egress points are still smaller, they are much closer to me due to the fact that the hatchery is closer. Just about screwed up there. What happened, I believe, was that I did not double click my dive. Like, to dive, I had to double click. I believe I did not click it fast enough, and therefore I just kind of crouched, as you saw. Big mistake. It almost cost me my life there.
Deploying support weapon.
So you can actually use halopods to destroy the walls in the city. That's why I'm calling in my grenade launcher there. Just to get out. So now I believe I have one final objective. Did I do it already? No, I did not. The escape pod there. So there's lots of enemies back there. So I'm gonna get out, go back, resupply, because it is definitely a defend mission. You have to stay close to it. So I want as many grenades, as many stims, as many ultimatum shots as I can hold for that. Because even though it is a simple task, it's still a very dangerous one because you have to stay near it in order to complete it. It's definitely why I ran out, is because I wanted to resupply. And going for the resupply inside of the city was quite dangerous considering there were so many there. Now, even though I am on a time limit and it says I only have 1:40 left, that time limit is 1:40 for the pilot to be called in. The pilot will still take 2 or 3 minutes to call in, so I still know that I have 4.5 minutes. But I do now know that I only have 1:24 to use my stratagems. Another thing, I do feel like most people in the Helldivers community, especially the ones that play on the difficulties, already know this, but if you type in the code for the stratagem and just hold it in your hand, even after that time limit is done and you cannot use your stratagems anymore, if you had it in your hand before the time limit ended, you can still throw it and it will still be called in. But because of the time limit, I'm going to use as many stratagems as I can to save my ammo, because I will need my ammo much more once I can no longer use my stratagems, especially considering my napalm barrage is a very effective tool against bug breaches, and my strafer gun is a very effective tool for just taking out big groups on a general basis. So yeah, like I said before, that my grenade launcher was my primary killing machine. Really, it was the grenade launcher mostly, but also assisted by the strafing gun.
Say hello to democracy!
But one thing is, don't fall into the bad habit of trying to use the Cookout as a killing machine. Besides for the smaller enemies like the Shriekers, the Scavengers, and the Hunters, but only when they're close. Only when the little enemies are close. Obviously, you have to use the shotgun for the Shriekers, because unless you get a direct hit with the grenade launcher, that's just not going to happen. Cookout is not a killing machine for this unless they are close. It is only for creating distance because it is so good at staggering. Even though it does do almost as much damage as the grenade launcher per shot, it does not have the fast fire rate and area of effect as the grenade launcher. So it's not nearly as effective. I do not want to use it as a primary killing machine. It is only for creating distance because of it's so good at staggering, especially the larger enemies. Obviously, you can't stagger the chargers and stuff like that, but that is what the stun grenades are for. Now, the Battle Titans aren't actually that big of a threat because it can be dodged. The Battle Titans attacks, both its acid and its stomping attacks, can be dodged quite easily, and the Battle Titan acid can actually be used to your advantage to kill other bugs. So that's not that big of an issue that the stun grenades do not work on them. The Impalers and Chargers are definitely much higher on the kill first list because they pose a much larger threat than the Battle Titans, despite the reputation that the Battle Titans hold is much greater than the other ones. So definitely take out Chargers and Impalers first. Like, you'll notice that I kind of play the running around game when Battle Titans are nearby, saving my ultimatum shots for nearby Chargers. But the grenade launcher is a very effective tool for killing the Impaler as well, provided that it does have its tentacles into the ground and weak spot exposed.
ETA T-minus 1 minute.
So you'll notice here I have no more objectives besides extracting. That's my primary objective, so I'm gonna just play the stealth game, not engage if I can. I don't want to take any risks right now because I don't have to. All I have to do is extract. My primary goal is not a high amount of kills right now. It's just to extract and stay hidden, because even if that small group of bugs you see in my map sees me, there's always the chance that it will call in a bug breach or call other bugs nearby, and then I have a bigger problem at hand.
ETA T-minus 20 seconds.
So this armor, in particular the scout armor, very useful, very important for this particular build.
ETA T-minus 10 seconds. Clear landing zone.
Kind of see that scavenger kind of spotted me there, so I started engaging.
Pelican 1 approaching pickup.
So instead of getting tunnel visioned and seeing the pilot running straight to it through that bug breach, I'm not going to stay tunnel visioned, and I'm going to maintain my focus and not let adrenaline push my actions. So I'm going to run around so I don't have to run through that huge mess of bugs, because running through that is like running through a shredder machine. You do not want to do that at all. Anyways, I hope the commentary was helpful. If you have any questions that I did not answer, don't be afraid to ask them in the comments. I'll answer as many questions as I can. I really hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Helps my videos get seen more, helps me grow. Very helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching again. Hope this was very helpful to you. Hope you enjoyed.